Probably the single biggest killer when it comes to lack of progress in the gym with your workouts or with your physique is a lack of structure with your training and with your diet. But today we're gonna be talking about training specifically. Now, structure is bigger than just what exercises you're doing, how much weight you're lifting, how much sets you're doing. It's also what your entire week looks like, what the split you're following is, and how that split is sequenced throughout the week too. When I program for my clients and when I program for the Stupid Fit Pocket personal training app, not only is the sequence of the day really intentional, but the sequence of the week is also intentional as well. During the training day, your body will go through different energy systems, and it's really important to keep the right exercises in the right place. You don't want to end your day with a barbell squat. You want to start with that. You don't want to start with calf raises. You want to end with that, right? It just makes more sense. But likewise, depending on what your goals are and depending what you want to change within your body, what you do the first day of the week can impact and have a domino effect on what you do the rest of the week. So today we're going to be breaking down how to design your entire training week for success and what that would look like for different kinds of goals. Now, before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, do all the things that, all the YouTubers tell you to do, because it's nice having that stuff and it helps you out, it helps me out. It's a win-win. Just do it. Going into the best way to design your training week, it's first going to start with knowing what your goals are, right? And if you're here, odds are you have a physique-based goal, whether it's building more muscle, losing fat, a mixture of both. We're going to be working a lot on physique. Regardless of those three goals, you're going to be training in a hypertrophy style way. You're going to train in a muscle building way, because if you're trying to lose fat, really you also want to maintain muscle. And it's really important that your training reflects that. And the best way to maintain muscle is by training in a way that would lead to muscle building. What would lead to fat loss versus muscle building with your training is your diet. If you're in a calorie deficit and you train hypertrophy focused way, you're going to be losing fat but maintaining muscle. You can't build muscle because you're not intaking enough calories to build muscle tissue in a significant way. Likewise, if you're trying to build muscle and that's your main focus, you're going to train in a similar style, but you're going to be eating in a calorie surplus, and the extra calories you're going to be eating will lead to rebuilding more lean muscle tissue. So that's the first thing. We are in agreement here that if you're going to continue watching this video, you have a physique-based goal. You want to train in a hypertrophy style setting, which is more or less how a lot of bodybuilders train. Now, from there, the next thing to decide is how often you're going to be going into the gym. There's no wrong frequency for how often you want to go to the gym, but there is ideals depending on your experience level. If you're new to the gym, trying to get into a routine, there's nothing wrong with getting 2 to 3 days in a week. You will definitely accumulate enough training volume and see a lot of changes in your body, because this is going to be very new to you. And this is also true if you've never followed a structured training program. Just following a smarter, well-designed training program will give you results that a new person in the gym will receive, because you've never actually gotten appropriate stimulus in a consistent way, because you've just been mindlessly putting things together. And then of course, if you're an intermediate or advanced trainer, you've been doing this and following structured training programs for 6+ months, I would say 3 to 5 days a week of workouts is probably going to be the most ideal for you. So now from there, you've decided the goal that you're pursuing, you've decided how many days a week you're willing and can commit to the gym. Now it's time to decide your training split. And this will depend on more specific goals that you want to have. We all have physique-based goals, like we said. But if you have specific body parts that you want to enhance or build more than others, this is where it becomes important to find the right training split for you. Assuming you don't have any particular area that you want to focus on, you just want to improve everything kind of in the same way, and you just want to tone up across your whole body, following a full body split throughout the week, or following an upper-lower split if you're doing 4 days a week, so upper body one day, lower body one day, upper body one day, lower body another day, will be the most ideal for you. You're going to be training each body part an adequate number of times. You have good frequency of the training muscles, so you're training all upper body muscles multiple times a week, all lower body muscles multiple times a week, and that's going to lead to great results across the board. And this is also a good strategy in general if you have something specific to emphasize. With a 5-day-a-week split, you can follow general upper-lower push-pull leg split. This is usually my favorite 5-day-a-week split to follow, because it gets everything done in a great way. Now, where you can get more specific is, let's say you want to really emphasize the development of your legs. You want to get stronger legs. That's the biggest body part you want to enhance and change. Not lose fat in, but build muscle in and develop to be the most toned. You would flip things around a little bit to where you do legs first in the week. So I mentioned with the 4-day-a-week split, you can follow an upper-lower split. Instead, you would do a lower body first then upper body, then lower body again, then upper body. This is because over the span of a week, your body accumulates fatigue in the nervous system and muscularly from all the training that you're doing. And if you start the week with legs, you're gonna have the most energy on that day and will be able to get the most muscle stimulus and training stimulus for those muscles that you do on day one. So if your main focus is really emphasizing the legs, then it only makes sense to start the week with legs. Likewise, with the 5-day-a-week routine, it would make sense to do a lower body first, then upper body, then legs push-pull to finish off the week. You get your leg workouts in really early in the week, and you can get the most out of them. You're fresher on those days, and you can really hit them harder than you would if you saved them for the latter half of the week. And if your focus is upper body, then you just got to do the opposite. So now you've decided and figured out what the best split is going to be for you. If you also have an emphasis on strength that you want to do, you can flip this around another way for the 4-day-a-week split, and you could do full body on the first day of the week and follow it up with push-pull legs and do all your heavy lifting and compound lifts on that first day so that you can really improve your strength across the board, and then focus on more hypertrophy style training the second half of the week through the push-pull legs. The week is planned out. You know your split, you know what you're trying to do, you know what to do each day. Within the training day, you also want to strategize it because again, we're gonna have multiple frequencies of the same body parts throughout the week. We don't want to save the important stuff toward the end. We want to do the important stuff at the beginning. There's a few ways to split this up depending on a multitude of variables, but to keep it really simple and to cover a big majority of people watching this, we're going to do the most common ones that I've seen working with clients. If you're starting off your week with an upper body focused day and your main concern is really developing your chest, shoulders, and triceps, it's going to make sense to do a push dominant day first. This is assuming an upper lower split on a 4-day cycle and doing those exercises at the beginning of the workout. You have a battery for how much energy you have going into a workout and going into the week. You want to do the most important things when you have the most energy so that you can get the most out of them. And then all the secondary stuff will come later on. You'll still be able to get the benefit of those secondary things, but you just won't be able to tap out the potential of them like you would at the beginning before you accumulate any kind of fatigue. So getting into the day, if your main emphasis is chest, the first workout you're going to be doing should be chest focused. If your main emphasis is shoulders, the first workout you're going to be doing should be shoulder focused, right? So what that looks like in practice for a chest focused workout is going to be some sort of horizontal push, right? A barbell bench press, a dumbbell bench press, chest press, anything like that. If your main focus is shoulders, you're going to be doing a vertical push. So that is going to be any kind of shoulder press, machine shoulder press, overhead press, barbell press, all of those things. And then the secondary movement would be the opposite. So you did a horizontal push, you're going to do a vertical push as a second exercise. You started with a vertical push, you're going to follow up with a horizontal push for the second exercise. This, again, still lets you cover your ground for all the muscle groups, but it organizes it in the priorities that you want to prioritize with your body. You can do a similar thing with legs here. If your main focus is quads, you're going to start with a knee flexion or knee biased exercise. So that's going to be like a barbell front squat, a goblet squat, split squat, Bulgarian split squat, that is quad focused. Any of those would work. If your main focus is going to be glute and hamstring development, you're going to start with a glute and hamstring exercise. So that's going to be any kind of hip hinge movement, RDL, a good morning, a hip thrust, a regular deadlift. All of those are good glute and hamstring emphasized workouts where you can lift a heavy load and take your glutes and hamstrings through a full range of motion. Again, emphasize the muscles you want to emphasize at the beginning. And then just like with upper body, you would follow that up with the opposing movement that you didn't do. So if you started with a hip hinge, you're following it up with a knee flexion. If you started with a knee flexion, you're going to follow it up with a hip hinge. Again, it's not just about developing the muscles you want to develop. You want to develop the opposing muscles too, because otherwise you're going to set yourself up for injuries, muscle imbalances, and painful joints if you overemphasize one muscle over the other. It's not about ignoring the opposite muscle group. It's just about prioritizing the one you do want to emphasize. And again, looking at the span of a week, because we're going to be doing multiple upper body and lower body days, you want to start with the important exercises at the beginning of the week. So usually this can look of one of two ways. If it's purely hypertrophy focused, you don't really care about strength at all. Using legs as an example, the first day can be very hip hinge dominant, where a lot of the exercises are glute and hamstring focused, if that's your main priority. You'll still have knee flexion exercises in there, but the ratio is probably going to be 2 to 1 at the end of the day. On the second day, you can still have the first exercise be another hip hinge, but the ratio on that day is going to be more 1 to 1. So it's going to be an equal balance of quad biased exercises, knee flexion biased exercises, and hip hinge biased exercises, glute hamstring focused. If you also want to work on strength, which is helpful for hypertrophy too in some cases, more for the intermediate and advanced folk than the beginner folk, you can start both days with hip hinges, but make the first day strength based, where it's low rep, high intensity exercises, and the second day higher rep, moderate weight exercises. First day could look like anywhere, most of the exercises being 3 to 5 reps, and you're really looking for max output. This will target the fast twitch muscle fibers in the muscles that you want to focus. On the second day, all the exercise will be in a rep range of 6 to 12, and this will target the slower twitch muscle fibers of the muscles you want to emphasize and work on. Across the entire week, you want to have anywhere between 10 to 20 sets per muscle group. That's going to be the sweet spot for developing lean muscle tissue or maintaining lean muscle tissue if you're in a fat loss phase. Now, this is 10 to 20 sets per week, not in the day, just per week, which sounds probably like a lower number than you might have anticipated, but it's all about quality more than quantity here. You can do a lot of garbage volume, just repping things out with improper form, not getting a good mind-muscle connection, but you'll need to do 3 times as much work to make that happen. A lot of people will generally think they need to do more when they're in the gym to get more results, and that's not the case. You just need to do better with what you're doing. It doesn't require extra hours in the gym. It just requires more intentional time with the repetitions that you're already performing and getting the most out of those repetitions. And that's why if you're following a smart, structured training program and you're able to get that workout done in 45 to 60 minutes, 4 days a week, you'll see more results than someone that goes 6 days a week, works out for 90 minutes to 2 hours a day over the same time frame. Going through the exercises that you set up throughout the week, you want to make sure that the target muscles you want to emphasize have a couple more sets, a couple extra sets than the ones you don't want to emphasize as much. If you want to emphasize back more than chest, you want to make sure that you're hitting 2 to 5 extra sets of back exercises versus chest exercises. And there's a strong correlation between your experience in the gym and how many sets you need to be doing. The more experience you have, the more stimulus you're going to need. You'll be on the higher end of the 10 to 20 set range per muscle group. And you could also add sets and increase volume week to week through your training program so that you're accumulating more mechanical tension, you're burning more calories week in and week out, and still maintaining a high intensity over that same time period until you get to a deload week, 3 to 8 weeks from the starting point. Now, within the day itself, depending on how much time you want to make the training day, the first half of the workouts should be focused on larger muscle groups. So that's going to be chest, shoulders, back, quads, glutes, hamstring. The reason for that is because these primary movers for push workouts, for pull workouts, right? Chest is primary mover for push workouts the majority of the time. Back is going to be the primary mover for all pull workouts. Glutes and hamstrings are going to be your primary mover for hip hinges. Quads are going to be your primary mover for most knee flexion exercises. They also train a lot of secondary muscle groups. So when you do any kind of bench press, the main moving muscle is the chest. It's true, but your shoulders and triceps are also being indirectly hit. So that stimulus that you get in the shoulder and tricep actually counts toward the total volume for those exercises. So it's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone in that regard, which is why you want to start with those exercises because it gets the most done, they burn the most calories, they're the most fatiguing. You want to focus on the big muscle groups first at the beginning of the day. The end of the workout, the last couple exercises, 1 to 3 exercises, will be isolation exercises. You can use this as an opportunity to emphasize the muscles you want to develop. So you can do chest isolation exercises, glute isolation exercises, etc. But it's also a good opportunity to train directly the isolation exercises for biceps, triceps, forearms, calves, traps that also get hit with all the major muscle groups and major movements, but just not directly. Because they're also getting hit, as I mentioned earlier, they're getting the indirect stimulus. They don't need 10 to 20 sets of isolation work at the end of the workout. Now, I threw a lot of information at you and it might be hard to know how to do this for yourself and if you're doing it the right way. So if you want done for you, smart strength training programs that are going to guarantee you get results if you follow through with them, join the wait list for the Stupid Fit Pocket Personal Training app coming out this winter. You'll get access to my top programs done for you in gym, at home, and for any kind of experience level so that you can continue to make the results or start making the results that you want to make with your body. Check out the link in the description to join the waiting list now and stay stupid.